Well, good afternoon, folks, and welcome as we launch a brand new lecture series called TechTalk in partnership with Labs Canada. My name is Bart Tatarnik, and I'm the manager of outreach for the Co-Climateology and Viticulture Institute here at Brock University. And we are pleased to partner with Scott Labs Canada to present a series of speakers focused on industry knowledge mobilization. The hope here is to connect with researchers and subject matter experts, with grape growers, winemakers, cider and perry producers, proprietors, and retailers. Before I introduce our speaker, I'd like to recognize Matthias Voss, winemaking production specialist at Scott Labs Canada, and thank him for bringing this concept to CCOVI. Together, I hope we can host a large list of speakers for the industry to help drive meaningful discussions, practical solutions, and collaborative learning. So kicking off our Tech Talk speaker series is Michael Sobe, Head of Experimental Research with Herbstlaw?
Yeah, very good.
An internationally recognized German beverage company specializing in wine, beer, and juice to spirits. Michael is an expert in filtration and enzyme usage, and today he will explore PIWI grape varieties as a sustainable option for Ontario winemakers. I just want to note that we've set aside time for discussion at the end. And with that, please join me in welcoming Michael Sobe for his presentation.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having me. Thanks for the nice introduction. Just a few words for my background. So I have an enology background, so I come from the cellar, starting as a cellar rat, winemaker, and then I changed into the industry. Herbstlaw, just a few words to Herbstlaw. Herbstlaw is a beverage company. It used to be a mining company, so we used to mine kaolin and bentonite. And with bentonite, the business started off in the beverage industry. And from then on, it was enzymes, cultured yeast, you name it. Beverage companies have a whole array now to support winemakers. And of course, we are trying to be on time with solutions for winemakers when time is changing. And I think we are kind of a tipping point when it comes to what we are growing in the vineyard, how we're treating our plants in the vineyard. And I was especially intimidated speaking here because Canada and Germany, we have something in common. We have so many spraying cycles, which is borderline. So we spray 12 times, I hear from here 14, 16 times sometimes, and with all the environmentally movement, this is too much. So a great solution for that was, of course, hybrids. You're more clued up about hybrids than I am, but Germany was on the forefront when it came to PIWIs, fungal resistant grapes, and I want to share a little bit the experience that we have with PIWIs over the last 40 years. We introduced some PIWIs very, very early. Red wines like Regent or white PIWIs like Johanniter. But unfortunately, that whole PIWI movement stayed very small. So, and we are a small group here. I have a presentation, so I'm going to go through the presentation, but I would love to have rather a discussion because that is possible in a small group like this. So I can skip some topics if you guys know what thiols are and how they work and what the thresholds are. So don't be shy. I rather have a discussion because it's a small group, so we can do that. So let's start. So PIWI is just a shortcut for a pilzwiderstandsfähige Rebsorte, which means fungal resistant grapes, so easy. Actually a nice name, yeah? People like that, yeah? And it sounds not too bad. I think there are different names around the world, yeah? I think the Americans call it pioneer wines, yeah? I don't know what you guys still call it, hybrids, yeah? Sure. Yeah? But the difference between those old hybrids and the new PIWIs is that they're even more resistant against some fungal diseases. Yeah? So I'm written here resistant to powdery and downy mildew. And when I started in the wine industry, and this is 20 years ago now, I worked in the vineyards, and we had a vineyard of Regen there. And it was mind-boggling that any other vineyard we had to spray 12 times, yeah? And that Regen vineyard we only had to spray 2 times. So, and only against downy, powdery was okay, yeah? And even this 20 years ago, that was fascinating, yeah? And I thought, why is nobody really embracing that? Yeah, it's not just an environmentally friendly thing, but it's always, wineries, they have to look after the money. Yeah, so we have to break even or make a profit. So I think that's a way to promote that even now, even in the future. Yeah? To make it successful, make it attractive for wineries, for vintners, yeah, for grape growers. So just a little bit more to the PIWIs. So they're basically resistant. They have certain gene alleles, yeah, that make them resistant or partly resistant to downy and powdery mildew. Yeah? And that is a defense mechanism which occurs, yeah? But we are trying to force that into the grapes by crossing the vines, of course. So what we do, we work together with nurseries, yeah? And we have nurseries which are state funded that are doing those projects. Yeah? So crossing vines is a very long undergoing, you guys know that, yeah? So it's 20 years plus. Yeah? What I found out when I first worked together with those guys, there was no interest in enology. So when I first pitched up there at the stately funded nursery, there was only one yeast strain they tried everything on. And that is a key point of my talk today. So I think to be successful, we have to put that on the broader scale, yeah, in order to help the winemaker and to help to create wine styles. Yeah? Because I think that was one of the reasons that early experiments in Germany, yeah, with Regent and Johanniter didn't go so well. So this is just for the German market, and a lot of people say, yeah, we like the Riesling style, or I'm a Muscat fan, and there is nothing in your pocket with the PIWIs you can match that. That is actually wrong now. So what I said with those stately funded institutes, those nurseries, we have one in each region, and over the past 40 years, they developed those grape varieties. Yeah? So there are hundreds to choose from. So depending on the resistance against mildew, downy, or powdery, or other diseases like phomopsis and stuff like this, you can choose from. Yeah? Older crossings, of course, they don't have the resistance anymore like younger crossings, because the fungi adapts. Yeah? So basically it's not a process which will end someday. It will be an ongoing process, like with spraying agents. Yeah? It's the same. It's an ongoing process, so every year there will be a change, or in 5 years there will be a change, and the same will apply for those PIWIs. But as you can see here on that slide, basically all the German, or the most important German wine styles, we can now create with PIWIs as well, in a very, very good quality. So that's just to put it together. So what can we achieve with PIWIs? Fewer pesticides. Yeah, of course, you don't have to drive the tractor so much anymore through the vineyard. So CO2 is a role. Yeah? If you use fewer pesticides, of course, the biodiversity increases in the vineyard. If you don't have to drive the heavy tractor so much, yeah, soil is much nicer, yeah, so you don't have to work so much with your soil. Labor is a big issue by us, yeah, so we are looking desperately for skilled labor in the vineyards, yeah, but we can't find people anymore in Germany, so but that's another story. Working with PIWIs is not as labor intensive. Greater yields in extreme weather conditions, and that applies for both, for Canada and for Germany. Yeah? So we are two wine growing countries with real vintages, yeah? Not like the southern countries like Spain or even South Africa, where vintage variations are there, but not as extreme as in Germany or in Canada. So if botrytis, or if you have an event of rain and you couldn't spray at the right time during flowering or stuff like this, so you can balance that if you have a portion of PIWIs in the vineyard. So sustainability, we talked about it, and of course a greater resilience in the vineyard thanks to more habitat. Plants, animals, all the stuff that comes along if you don't spray that much as we do right now. So I don't know if I can, because I was introduced here that thiols are your specialty, or you have a good thiol analytics. As I told you, I have to send away my thiol analytics. Yeah? So should I do it short? Sure. Okay. So thiols, basically alcohol, like thioalcohols, yeah? Characterized by a very, very low perception threshold. I'm talking about thiols now. I had to choose between three things: esters, terpenes, or thiols. So all of those three things can be influenced by the yeast. So, and thiols, most importantly, and mostly unknown that you can influence thiols by the chosen yeast. Yeah? So with esters, of course, fermentation temperature plays a role. With terpenes, the glucosidase activity of the yeast plays a role if you have more or less. Yeah? Esters, fermentation temperature, or esterase activity of the yeast. So you can have a lot of ester through a cold fermentation, but if your yeast has quite a bit of esterase activity, you're going to lose that nice esters very, very shortly after fermentation has stopped. So thiols, I think, are the most important and most interesting aroma components in our time, because you can create styles. Yeah? If you have a hot vintage, yeah, you can have a thiol yeast in a Riesling produces you a totally different wine than a terpene yeast. Yeah? You can be more on the fresh side. You guys know that from Sauvignon Blanc, so it's not exactly like Sauvignon Blanc, but you have the gooseberry aromas and you have the fresher aromas in comparison to terpenes. So Of course, we are not talking about negative thiols. Yeah? They are there as well, yeah? But we know them all, but we leave them out today. And of course, you probably know that the precursors of thiols are odorless, yeah? And we only get them when we choose the right yeast. So, what do we need to actually produce thiols? It's the IRC7 gene, yeah, which makes a beta-lyase activity possible. And from those odorless precursors, we actually get those thiols. Just alone this picture to explain takes half an hour, so I will go quickly. So it's very important. We have the glutathione, which is labeled, and we get the cysteine conjugate, which is odorless. Then we need the beta-lyase activity, yeah? And then we get the pyruvate and especially a specific thiol, the 3-MMP, which is often described as blackcurrant or cassis aroma. So we were talking just half an hour ago, yeah, you cranking up your analytics to even measure lower thresholds. You can see here in the range nanograms. So don't pin me down on those older thresholds, because if you don't do them yourselves, yeah, literature will tell you a lot of stories, yeah, and sometimes you never know, is it done in water, is it done in wine, is it done in red wine, or is it done in fruit juice, or wherever, yeah? But that doesn't matter. The only thing you have to take home here is the threshold of thiols is really, really low, yeah? So that means with just a few of the precursors, you can change a wine, you can change the wine in style. And a lot of people do that, a lot of people playing with that in order to create fresher styles in hot vintages or create more tropical styles in cool vintages. Okay, that's a little excursus. I had more in this presentation because it's a longer presentation. So PIWIs, light hybrids, and we talk a lot when I'm here. They have a different pectin structure, yeah, because of that resistant profile. Yeah, pectin is different and more difficult to crack for enzymes. Yeah. So the ultimate test is Concord. Yeah? The pectin structure of Concord is so hard to crack. So a lot of our enzymes are tested on Concord grapes to find the best pectinase and the best pectinase side activities. Yeah. So just a little bit to the pectin of those PIWIs or hybrids. Talk a lot about Baco with Matthias, which is very, very hard to filter at the end. Just, or maybe just because we cannot crack the pectin right. Yeah? So normal pectinases, normal pectinase activities like esterase or methyl esterase, yeah, they cleave the smooth region of the pectin molecule. Yeah? But PIWIs and hybrids have especially a large amount, and we call it hairy regions. So where the pectin molecule is spread out and not as even, so pectinases have difficulties to cleave that. Yeah? So, and for that it needs special activities like galactorinase activities, side activities, but this is just a little excursus for the pectin. Yeah? So my major question was, and I said that at the beginning, I want to give winemakers, and I'm on the practical side, so we do a lot of fermentation trials. I want to give the winemakers tips. What can you do with those PIWIs you just planted and nobody really has experience with those grapes in the cellar? Yeah? So, and as I said, we did something with the esters. We checked the terpenes, and today I want to introduce you to that, what we did about the thiols. And an easy trial design is always the best. Yeah? So what I did there is I took a terpene yeast, and I took a yeast with beta lysis activity just to check on PIWI grapes. Nobody really compared yeasts on. Do they actually have thiols? Yeah? Do they have enough to show up in a tasting? They certainly showed up on analytics, but do they show up and do they help the winemaker to create different styles? So that was 2021. Normal fermentation temperature, not too cold. And that is the first thing a lot of winemakers don't know. Yeah? They might choose the right yeast with a beta lysis activity, but then they ferment their wines too cold. And in comparison to esters, so esters, if you do at 14 degrees, you have a beautiful ester profile. If you want to achieve a thiol profile, 14 degrees is the wrong temperature. So thiols, 18 to 22 degrees, yeah? Saves energy, and you get a nice thiol profile. So nothing special, 70 NTU in must, 10 days fermentation, and as I said, 2 yeasts, extreme, terpene producer, X-thiol, as the name says. Yeah? Not too much fuss about the analytics, moss parameters, fermentation aroma, and thiol aroma. And I start with 3MH. 3MH is a thiol which, in comparison to 4-MMP, gives you more that kind of sweet tropical fruits. Yeah? 4-MMP, more focused, more fresher, cassis, and those kind of aromas. And we see here, in comparison, I did it on Sauvignon Gris, Calades Muscat, Calades Blanc, Felicia, and Hilaris. And we can see differences, but I would not say that they are significant. So switching to the other thiols, yeah, and mainly here 4-MMP, and then we see the big difference. So with Sauvignon Gris, which is the most popular PIWI right now in Germany, yeah, widely planted, nurseries, and that is one of the good messages. They run out of what do you call them? Craftings. Yeah. So they booked out for the next 5 years because that really took off and they like it. Yeah. So first thing, we have to get more capacity on those. Yeah. But you can see here, Sauvignon Gris, no 4-MMP whatsoever. Yeah. But a little bit of A3MH. Calades Muscat, which is a really muscat grape, yeah? And for muscats, I was surprised that you can have significant amounts of 4-MMP, yeah, to contribute to the aroma. Yeah? And you can see that here, yeah, so the huge difference between X-style, yeah, so yeast with better lysis activity, and extreme terpene yeast. So the profile is significantly different. And with the rest, Calades Blanc, yeah, widely planted now. Widely is you have to take with a pinch of salt, but one of the better ones, yeah, used for sparkling base wine, and differences as well. So, and this is significant, especially for the 4 MMP. So, where you can create fresher styles. So, basically, I explained that, and let's go to the trials 2022. Also easy, yeah. So a simple trial design. So what I was interested in now was we could see that the wine industry has to look at those new grapes and give winemakers not a manual, but just tips how to use them in the right way, and to use them so they can be successful. Yeah. So 1 year later, I was interested Œnoferme Finesse and Œnoferme X-style. So X-style is a yeast with better lysis activity. Yeah? So 4 MMP can show up. Œnoferme Finesse has better lysis activity as well, but some things, and that is the beauty of thiols, are not revealed yet. So we still don't know everything, yeah? And we probably will never know, but Œnoferme Finesse was selected for the profile not to have too much 4 MMP, but more of those tropical thiols like 3MH. Yeah? So, and in this year I compared those two yeasts on Hibernal, and Hibernal is a PIWI very close to Sauvignon Blanc. It was bred in Geisenheim, so that's why I'm very proud. So I studied together. So I did my thesis with a professor who did the crossing, so which is nice. And Sobitage, another good performing PIWI in Germany. And just to see the difference between those two yeasts, and we see that here with a 4 MMP, yeah, but not so much. Yeah? But we see it especially with a 3MH, yeah, which is important for those tropical fruit profile. Yeah? And you see that here that a thiol yeast is not a thiol yeast. So winemakers can play with styles depending on the weather conditions. And trust me, with Riesling, late ripening, since 15 years I have a little wine estate. I've seen a lot of green material, yeah, not really getting ripe. And you know, it would be really counterproductive to put a 4 MMP producer on unripe grapes. Yeah? So, and that's basically the message. Yeah, there are just 2 more tools in the toolbox for winemakers, and they can choose styles depending on the vintage, depending on the customer taste, depending on other trends. So, results, as I said, high 4 MMP for X-style, and high 3MH concentration for Œnoferme Finesse and Hibernal. Yeah? But of course, not every trial turns out perfect. Yeah? So the Sobitage trial, it was not significant, but to make that proper, you have to do it over a longer period of time. Yeah? I don't have the funds for that, but a institution like you, yeah, you can have doctors and bachelors and masters, yeah, repeating trials like this and giving not a manual. Manual is always bad, but giving information to the market, to the winemakers, to better judge harvest conditions, how their grapes are in, and then choose the right yeast and choose the right style. Yeah, this is just how those two yeasts compare. You're probably better clued up with thiols, but I found a couple of papers that 3MH does not even need the beta-lyase activity. Yeah? So there can be 3MH even in yeasts without the gene, yeah? And without beta-lyase activity. So our belief even 5 years ago was no thiols if there is not the gene and the beta-lyase activity. Yeah? So that's how common knowledge changes. Yeah? But you probably know better.
We're learning.
So for me, the most important thing was significant difference between those yeasts, and as I said, to give tips to the winemakers to choose their own style. Okay, that whole thing got political, of course. In Europe, we are a whole compound of countries now, and on top, of course, is a lot of bureaucracy in Brussels, yeah? And a lot of people sitting in Brussels and giving goals, yeah? Not just to the winemakers or to the grape growers, to all farmers. And a lot of them are not too clued up, yeah? So they have to shine, and what they came up with was we have to cut our spraying agents, or the amount we are spraying, in half by 2030. So it's almost.
That's an arbitrary number.
What is that?
It's arbitrary. They just said half is what you need to do.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
They do that.
Well,
they're serious about it.
Yeah,
it was likely that we also more requested for products being exported to the European Union because they take that stuff more serious. They will request from us to want to sell it.
Example, glyphosate was banned by us. Yeah? I don't know if it's banned here. I don't think so, if I'm looking at the vineyard. So, yeah. So, but you know, I'm not a fan of glyphosate, but you know, if you ban something, you have to come up with a solution.
Yes.
And everybody can make plans, yeah? 5-year plans, 10-year plans, but you have to come up with a decent solution. And I like that. It became really political, so some of those PV pioneers or nurseries or institutes, yeah, they wrote letters, yeah, you never get an answer, yeah, but now they're taking them to court because it's not realistic. So you have to go legal ways to achieve something. And you know, it's the guys which burn for that topic, yeah, so the nursery guys, they don't do anything else. They only talk about PVs. Yeah? The scientists who are crossing the wines and stuff like this. So it's just a little insight in politics in Europe. Yeah? So Another one is the customer. We talked about before the speech is the customer. Yeah. So PIWI wines, hybrids here, they're considered as inferior. And sometimes I get it, of course. Yeah, I'm a winemaker. But we had the discussion. Average bottle of wine in Germany, €3.50 in a supermarket. 85% is sold in supermarkets. And it has to be Riesling, it has to be Pinot Grigio, and it has to be Müller-Thurgau. Yeah? We have the big advantage. We have a blending rule, 15%, and we don't. And that's what I learned today at Repellent. Yeah? So you guys are not allowed to blend hybrids into vinifera. I was not aware of that. We are, unless it shows on the label. Yeah.
Ontario.
Ontario.
You can call it a white wine. You say college white.
Fancy name or something.
Yeah. Even that would be okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, just a practical approach to the story would be, guys, use the blending rule. 15% of PIWIs in the vineyard, and the world would be a better place, and we would be closer to that 50% from the EU. Huh? But we are not even sitting at 2% of PIWis in the vineyards. So it's going to be a long way, and 2030 is coming up very close. Yeah? And there's no other solution, because with our weather patterns, what can you do? You have to spray, unless you want to lose your crop.
So in Germany, that's actively already done, that people start blending these in their blends.
Yeah, official blends.
Okay.
Okay. Talked about customer acceptance, blending rules. And yeah, this is what I said. So the hand-in-hand working with institutes, nurseries, or state-funded nurseries that do the crossings and do the scientific part in Germany is not working very well. So each cooks its own soup. Yeah, they are proud to get a new one legalized. You can plant it, but there is no information. Yeah, and winemakers need information, and we need a marketing strategy. And I said that at the beginning. So 40 years ago, so there were 2 PIWis introduced into the market, and they were kind of successful. They still widely planted, so the most planted PIWis in Germany. But nobody cared about to market those new approach, and it got lost.
So is there one company which would be kind of outstanding in Germany, who really goes more down that path to sell it as grape variety, or it's all just blended away?
There's a movement. There are a couple of movements. One is called Future Wines, and they're really proud to have that on the label, but they have the customers for that. Mostly comes from the organic corner. Yeah? So they are aware of that we have to reduce fungicides, pesticides. Yeah? So that is their thing, and they're doing it with a small marketing budget, very successful. Yeah?
The pricing of these wines, for these huge wines, better or the same like normal standard market?
You know, that is a difficult question. You don't want to sell.
Eating question into the microphone some way. You won't be able to record it otherwise.
Okay. So I was asking if
You have to come back. You're probably.
Michael, if you could summarize the question.
So the question was if there are special companies or wineries that are using the trend of PVs better than others. Yeah? So, and yes, as I said, people from the organic fraction, they use the trend better than conventional people.
Price, wine price.
Wine price, yeah?
Is it better or not?
No, it's not better. Why would you sell wine cheaper? Huh?
I'm not saying cheaper, I'm asking, can they sell it for more money?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but you know, they have the clientele. Yeah?
Sure.
So they have a different clientele than the wine consumer which goes to the supermarket. Yeah? It's mostly face-to-face bottle sales with those smaller wineries. Yeah? And they embrace the trend earlier than, of course, the bigger ones. But you know, for me, the bigger ones would save more money. Yeah? Like a 200 or 300 acre winery, yeah, which is not unusual in Germany. Yeah? If they have 15% PVs planted, it's a significant amount of money you can save. And I think that is the only thing we can get them, yeah? With money. Yeah. I'm finished. Give me 10 seconds. So, Rebschule means nursery. Yeah? So, and the JKI is the institute which did the most PVs over the last 50 years. Yeah? It's situated in a region in Germany, in the Pfalz. Yeah? You probably know that region, beautiful. And Mr. Freitag from the nursery, yeah? He's burning for the whole thing so much. He invites every single customer every year to sample PV vines at his property, yeah? And of course we are working a lot with him together. Yeah? I get my grapes, my PV grapes from the nursery because they actually don't need the grapes; they only need the wood. Yeah? So, which is nice. And yeah, so without partners, I would have no access to those kind of grape material. Okay.
Thank you so much for your
Pleasure.
incredibly interesting presentation. So I'm Jen. I'm here to facilitate the discussion. So if anybody has anything to ask, we can start there, or else I have a long list of questions as well.
The grapes that you mentioned, those varieties we would call it red or white, right? Is there anything you would say about Regent and the smaller variety Monarch?
I didn't get it. Yeah.
He was saying that all of the varieties
Yeah,
that you
yeah.
talked about were white varieties, and he's asking for any advice on red, like Regent, for example.
Good questions. My trials were only in white now, and I did a couple of ferments in Regent. Yeah, but Regent I didn't send it away for analytics. Seemed not to have enough precursors for thiols. Yeah, but that doesn't mean it's not interesting. Yeah, ester-wise, terpene-wise, and basically I grew up with Regent, and for me it's a very nice grape. So if you achieve a certain level of maturity, it can produce produce very good wine. And in Germany, it's the PIWI grape which is planted the most. It's the Regent. But it's an older selection. So 20 years ago, you only had to spray it twice. And now I think, don't pin me down, they spray like 4 to 5 times. Yeah? So that changes over time.
I'm a plant pathologist. I work with the grape vine viruses, and I also maintain grape vine germplasm repository here. So I'm sorry I'm late 10 minutes. I might have missed this information. But I'm more interested in like, where is the source of this PIWI germplasm in these varieties? Is there any common place that I can approach in Germany to say, going through the certification program?
Yeah, it's
Okay, so to repeat the question, Sid is asking where the source of the germplasm material is in Germany, and where all of the PIWIs are essentially coming from for the nurseries.
Yes.
Yeah.
there are 3 institutes which breed the PIWIs. Yeah, it's one close to the Rheingau. It's this one in Pfalz, and there's one in southern Germany. And if you give me your card, I can send you the address and give you a name who you're gonna approach. Yeah? If you have interested in, I don't know if they can send.
It can't come directly to Canada. It has to come through the Canadian Inspection Agency through the CCOVI program. But we can make it.
I get you the information, and of course they're always happy that it's not just a local thing, that more people are going to approach that whole topic. Yeah? So,
Yeah.
but maybe even the best thing is I set you up with a nursery, so you have your stuff probably quicker than from the institutes. Yeah?
Just find the PIWIs close to conventional or vinifera. Is there a distance that has to happen? Are my powdering mildew infested vinifera going to make me have to spray the PIWIs more often, or are they going to kind of have no effect on each other?
They do have effect on each other. Yeah. So yeah, and as I said, it's changing by the year. Yeah. So this is not going to be a solution with an end, but it's going to be a constant process. So it's not like rootstock, yeah. So where you can say, okay, I have sandy soils, I have loamy soils, and I plant this rootstock or that rootstock, or this gives me more vigor or not, because they're very stable. Yeah? But if you fight against fungi, yeah, they change constantly. Yeah? The population changes. Yeah? They find different entry points. Yeah? Unfortunately. Mm-hmm. Yeah?
Just on some of the basic chemistries of the wines of the grapes, like sort of pH, picking, like there were very different grape varieties. Like are the TAs crazy high, like some of the hybrids? Like what's the reference point?
So the question is, with respect to basic wine chemistry, how different the PIWIs may be from the viniferas that we know and love.
And that's the good news. A lot of those early breathings, you could taste it. Sometimes the acidity was far too low for good wines. But nowadays we are really close, and that's what I said with Sauvignon Gris. So Sauvignon Gris, I just attended a tasting a couple of weeks ago, and I couldn't tell the difference between a Pinot Grigio and a Sauvignon Gris. And at the same time, if you use a thiol yeast with a Sauvignon Gris, you get a more fresher aroma. But so you can have Sauvignon Gris as a Burgundy, and you can have Sauvignon Gris as a Loire wine, and on a very high level. Yeah. So, but you know, the breathing process, 20-25 years. So now they rule all this stuff out, which would make it really difficult to grow.
Yeah, fair. Just going to the thiol discussion, different varieties, once again, basic chemistries, pHs, say recent, we can have a band from 2.7, 2.6 low to really high, I think 3.2 or something like that. Like, do you see in the chemistries of the thiols those pHs and things affecting what's happening?
I don't, because I haven't tried it. Yeah. Sorry.
The question is, with the thiol, the wines that are high in thiol concentration, if there's an impact on pH. Yeah. The example was Riesling with a range of like 2.7 to 3.2.
Maybe you can answer that question better. Yeah. So I never did trials on that because Germany, Riesling, we have a pretty stable pH range between 2.9. I haven't seen 2.9 for 10 years, yeah? So it's between 3.2 and 3.4. So we are approaching riper levels now, and I would lie, I don't know. Yeah?
I think in the case we did a trial looking at Vidal and perhaps enhancing those volatile thiols. For us, the biggest impact was the vintage. You know, it was just all about the weather conditions, and that really determined our.
But it's the vintage and it's the conditions. So what we did, because Germany, it's not the matter if it's botrytis will come to us, yeah? every single year. And you know, slightly botrytis wines, you know, speaking of 5 to 15%, this is slightly for us, tend to have more thiol in it. So don't ask me why. I don't know if you've gotten into defense mechanisms, which trigger protein reactions and the amino acids, which are important. So that's the way.
Maybe I can say something to that. And I don't want to make that now a product spiel, but we have a product which came.
Please, Matthias.
Okay, so I don't want to make it a product spiel. Like I said, we got recently approved a product called L'Alvigne. L'Alvigne was developed 2012. We got the first trials worldwide. Lallemont did this, the product from Lallemont. We got approved L'Alvigne aroma and mature. And that goes down that path with fungi actually triggering in the plant certain responses. So what they found, basically, they found out by using certain yeast fractions, when they spray it as a foliar spray in the vineyard at a certain time, it triggers actually certain responses, and they can push aroma coming down to thiol development with the L'Alvigne aroma sprayed around horizon. 2 sprays, you can trigger in the plant that the plant produces more thiols in the grapes. And it's just the weirdest thing. And so I would just want to underline there is a truth to this, that the fungi actually must trigger some response in the plants, which we don't know all the details, but Lallemont went down that path and actually did some studies on that. There's different products now in this L'Alvigne program, which can actually really trigger certain responses in the plant. It's just by fungi. And the fungi is obviously an enemy for the plant, and the plant reacts. So by triggering certain mechanisms, the plant will react in a certain way. And that's exactly what we see. So it's a very cool thing. So yes, it's happened.
Variety specific, like?
So we have process really brand new. We were trying to get it approved since 2013 when we did first trials here in Canada. Hush, hush, nobody did know, but we couldn't talk too much about it, but it did work. What we have seen so far from these first trials, and since then we tried to get it approved. You guys are basically one of the first few people who will understand that it was recently approved actually 2 weeks ago. So we are really like right new. I have to learn about all of it and also understand what else was done in trials worldwide. So it's not new for the world. It's sprayed already in different parts of the world. So it's just like for us a very new development. I just wanted to tell you there is really a truth to it, that fungi can trigger a response in the plant and creating more thiols, even if it's kind of weird, and we just say, why would botrytis trigger that in the grapes?
But that would not happen if the plant or the grape would not have defense mechanisms. We would not have wine. It's as easy as that.
Yes.
That's an interesting direction for research, right? This interaction between the two.
Yeah, and it's just a very interesting field. It opened up a totally new world
Yeah.
of how we can kind of create certain developments. The other one which I've mentioned is called mature, and actually it will trigger the earlier ripening of polyphenols in the grapes. It will speeds it up, and we have a serious issue with unripe phenolic structures in this country. So that is another thing why I said we should have that product, because it's so suitable for us.
And Matthias, this is evolution. The plant doesn't want to produce good wine; they want to get the seeds right. So phenolic maturation is important.
Are there any other questions from the audience? So I had a question about the wines that were really, really high in the 4 MMP, I believe. What did they taste like?
You know, they tell you a lot of cat pee and stuff like this, but I don't get the whole cat pee thing.
Yeah.
And there was no cat pee. The funny thing is, the most surprised I was about those muscat wines. And you know, muscat wines, they can be really overpowering and almost a little bit cheesy. You know what I mean? But with a thiol yeast, you had a really focused fruit profile, more on the elegant side, more on the fresher side, which made those, even those muscats, and I'm not a big muscat fan,
It changed
made
the
it very, very interesting. It changed the profile totally.
Wow.
And the best example, as I said, was the Sauvignon Gris. So you basically have a grape where you can produce Burgundies, Pinot Grigio kind of wines, and with just the change of the yeast strain, you get a slight, mild Sauvignon Blanc aroma. So not overpowering, but very smellable thiols, riper thiols, but also for MNP.
Cool. Land under vine in Germany for PIWIs. Like, could you give us like a percentage of how much is planted there?
So we have 100,000 hectares, more or less, and I think it's 2% now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's nothing. So far it's nothing. Can be 3 by now, hopefully, but we still have to go a long, long way, and that's why I find the talk so interesting here, because you guys have hybrids, and that is my question to you. Those older hybrids, do you spray them less?
Do we spray them less?
Do you spray them more or less? I don't think it, I mean, there might be sprayed a little bit less, but I don't think by a lot.
I think it's not, the spray thing is less about the spray and the disease for those versus the cold tolerance and the ripening factors. That's our big reason why we use them, or like earlier on in Canada.
Yeah.
I have a few at the college. I talked to my vineyard manager about it, and I also have like less than an acre planted. There's no giant financial benefit to him. He's out there spraying 13 acres, he comes and sprays my half acre, things the same stuff, and it's just what it is, and it's all good. So,
That's what I do.
yeah, it's not so financially different to do every half day, because if you miss it on those, well then you, what's the point of like having raw for the sake of saving $100?
Yeah, so certainly cold tolerance and early ripening red varieties are of high interest to us here.
But yeah, that is a great example, because I think, now I know it, before Columbus came over, there was no downy and there was no powdery mildew in Europe. But your plants over here, they resisted those fungi. So only when that brought phylloxera and stuff like this. It came to Europe, and our plants, trust me on that. So that's why your plants over here, that's why we use your rootstocks for phylloxera. So your plants lost that resistance over time. That's why you spray your hybrids with the same spraying circles as you do vinifera. And that is the point I was making. It's not going to be the end if we develop PIWIs.
Yeah.
We have to be constantly aware that they're losing resistance against those two main fungi.
And those differences are regional. They may even be site-specific.
Site-specific.
Yeah.
Seriously, yeah. So I talked to the nursery guy, and he said, this side, perfect.
Yeah.
10 years, are still spraying only twice. The other side, loamy, more humidity, totally different.
Yeah. And we see that in all the studies we do here, that there are big differences amongst states. So I guess I wanted to flip the question that you asked us. And what advice would you give to a region who was perhaps considering the uptake of PIWI varieties? What have you learned in Germany that we could apply here?
Marketing.
Yeah.
So people have to be aware what we're doing. Let's not do it hush-hush, and try to sneak it in some blends. That is a start, but be proud of PIWIs, because we are making a difference, and it's for the good. So you with your hybrids, you could actually use it as a marketing. Don't look down to the hybrids. Use it as a marketing tool.
And I think it's something that we've done really well here in our region is elevating these grapes, and using them in different styles and different tiers. I think that's been a really effective marketing strategy. Because,
when I studied, of course, every enology student learns about the foxtone. And as soon as you hear that, you look down on hybrids, which is wrong.
Very true. Is there any other questions? Oh, all right.
Do you have any experience with the Italian PIWIs?
The question is, does he have any experience with the Italian PIWI varieties?
And no. But I will dig into that as soon as my boss will get me the funds. We actually have business in Italy, and I know they're working on it. Even Switzerland breeding their own PIWis. Austria, so close to Neuburg and Retz, they're on the PIWI program. And what I think is the most, not promising, but the most surprising is even France. And they are very, very conservative when it comes to allowing new grapes and wines. So they have a PIWI program now as well. Otherwise, we're not going to reach the EU goals of cutting our spraying agents off.
Yeah. And are yours regulated? Like, is there a process for having these varieties approved? How does that work?
Yeah, like anything else. So I think it's a 3 or 4 year test period. So you can apply for that as a wine grower, plant them, and there are no real surprises because they're doing it 20, 25 years. So it will actually be approved. So I haven't heard of a single one which was not approved.
I know there's more than 100 available, you said?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Well, please join me in thanking our speakers again.
And thank you, Jen. That's great.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having me.
Yes. Again, I'd like to thank Matthias and Scott Labs for the opportunity to have Michael with us today. That was a fabulous discussion and gave us a lot of food for thought, so to speak.
It's good.
Yeah, it's good to have that. We have the next in our lecture series. The next Tech Talk will be on cider. So exciting things, and we look forward to maybe seeing you all again. And thank you for coming.
Thanks very much, guys.